We're live, Mr. Wade.
Good night. Good night. Good night to our Belizean public, both at home and abroad. Welcome to another edition of our Belizean Affairs show number 255.
Amen.
And sitting with me is no other than Mr. Leonard Brackett. And we should be joined by Mr. Gregory Brackett. So, in the interest of time, there's a lot going on in our country, publicly, a lot. So we'll try to cover as much as we can and bring to the Belizean people, you know, what is really going on. For those who do not know, um, we speak truth to power, and we are about people and nation. And on that note, we always start our program with a prayer and then followed by a reading. I will ask Mr. Leonard Brackett to lead us in a prayer and a reading
Yes, sir.
for us tonight. Go ahead, Leonard, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the privilege to sit with you uh, and be a part of this particular program tonight, or 255th program. It's a pleasure, and I'll just go ahead and bow my head and ask for a prayer to start. Loving Father, once again we come before Thy presence, asking that Thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to Thee for having given us the opportunity of life in the first instance, and also the privilege to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. Please bless them all, notice their names and numbers. As if they are each number, please continue to guide and protect us. Thou who art creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, we commend ourselves that Thou would bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, that Thou would bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well, and the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way, where there's wars and volcano eruptions and fires and tornadoes and storms and earthquakes and all manner of pestilence and disasters, loving Father. Please continue to have mercy upon us, and may this program tonight be of some public benefit to our people of Belize, at home and abroad. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that warm prayer there, Leonard. Can you please lead us in a reading, please?
Yes, sir. I'll read Proverbs chapter 21, starting at verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it with reservoir. He will. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the heart. Amen. That is our reading for tonight. I yield back, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Thank you, Leonard, for that reading.
You're welcome, sir.
You know, uh, as always, we on this program, like I say, we are not a church program, and we're not preachers, and we're not we don't read the Bible every day, but we, in our hearts, we know that there is a God, and we
Amen.
serve that God. So, for those who think otherwise, just for the record, we we know that there is a God, and we serve one God. Um, Leonard, there's a lot going on in this country now, more so than ever, since the Johnny Briseño had uh, set the date for election. Um, He had dissolved the house, and as of the day that he dissolved the house, he's just a regular person. He doesn't have that title. He do not have that title. So he will be campaigning just like any other person. He'll be taking pictures with your kids and visit your homes and uh, 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 back to square one. So my people, those of you who supported that man, don't hear you will see his face because he needs you again. He needs you. So if for that 4+ years you didn't see him after you voted for him the last time, well then this is your time to tell him. This is your time to tell him, well, Mr. Man, I never see you, after I vote for you last time. So, well, but some of you might just warmly accept him and the rest, as they're all alike, right? Begging for your votes again, right? You like when the kids go on and beg for some candies or beg for, yeah, they will be back like, you know, little sheeps at your house. This is the time that you see now. Over the 5 years, 4 years plus, you didn't see them start bringing in the heavy equipment them in your villages, in your towns, and in your cities, and pushing and cleaning and draining out the drains and all that. But that is happening now again. So this is nothing strange. This is the way this two-party system operates when they need you, when there is an election. Otherwise, they could care less. They could care less how much noise you make, how much beg you beg them, right? And they could care less how much protest you protest. They could care less. But now, oh yes, all of a sudden they care. So my people, let's not forget the carnage of this government, past and present. Now you decide what I just said there just now. You decide. I asked, are we happy? Huh? Are we happy? Clap when they come, when you sit there and they come to your house, or to the Lee Picado Road, or to the London Bridge, or to the muddy street. Clap them and accept them with warm welcome. Because there they will bring your little goodies, your little $50. Before you go vote, they will bait you. What you need, man, now we come to your house. I had to tell you how it work, and because I've been through it, right?
So,
The what you need, they right here for help you, man. What the kids they need, today they know and get ramen. Hold here, go buy some chicken for them. And when then they left, they put only $20 in there. Oh, you owe your light bill? Or you owe any school fee? Hold here. Right? That's the way these people operate. Right? Only for the next vote for put them in power again so they could do it to you again.
mhm.
How many times have they done it to you? I just laugh, right? No, the man says that, man, my people and nation and the world, this are the best. The Belizean people had never lived under this People's United Party, right? The the party that have the people living well for the past 43 years. The man say you never live like that, like how they live now. You decide, right? That came from his own mouth. You decide, right? For me, it's all lies. Lies, 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 lies. Right? But again, you have the fanatics. The PUP fanatics that sees nothing but blue. In fact, some of them say it publicly. Right? All I see the blue. And then you got the UDP fanatics. Well, maybe I don't know how they will vote now because they are scattered. Right? So we don't know which one of them will be on the ballot. Whether the Shine Barrow or Tracy Pantone. We don't know. But that word, the opposition party, was a disgrace to this nation. Paid opposition party, a disgrace. Okay? They should return back all that money that they had gotten from the taxpayers' purse, for not rendering service to the Belizean people. They render service though, right? But not to the Belizean people. So, you know, this is the way of life, in this country. And very few of us want change. Very few of us. And what hurts me, you have well-educated people, right, that do not want change. Wonder why? Wonder why they do not. Well, then guys, we want change, them bad. They're not very bad people. Nobody should go up against the People's United Party, right? Nobody. Then guys, when they do that, and the UDP, where they other color, whether now red and blue, they're bad. They don't have no shame, right? For they go up against the mass party. Ha! Wow, son of a gun. Right? We don't got no rights. We shouldn't do that. Right? And maybe in the past that you go to jail. Anyone who put up the name for go against the two mass party, they were okay that for them people be charged. Right? That you shouldn't do that. Right? So we see what happened when the UDP in power. As this is how they work, You see them pass your street and then go to the UDP house. If the 3 UDP there on that street for you, then at the 3 house they may visit. For the 5 years, whatever little they got, whatever little pantry they got, whatever little rock or mud they got for give away, no, not going in your yard, the PUP yard and the others. But you see it happen. When the PUP in power, worse, because these guys here, then a master hold grudges. Then a master show you who the boss. Oh yes. So the PUPs, the UDPs suffer. And others again, they suffer because nothing. No one crumb come for their way. You see it happen on the street. I talk on the street, And it happen every time. Not only right now, it happen every time. So it look like only them people pay taxes in a UDP time. And it look like only them people pay taxes in a PUP time. Right? And all the giveaways in terms of contracts, one set of people. Get it? One set. So all of you minions that go vote for them, They don't see you, big enough, the party. So the only because they got certain people big, in the party, then that the people will get it. Only one where they go about the house to house, sun hot. Sometimes you get a bottle of water. After that day, election day, you know forgotten, right? Some of you know get paid. I see on the post on Facebook all the time. Oh, this is one hole you want that, today one hole you want that, right? They work you for 2 weeks and 3 weeks and they not pay you. You put on a red shirt and then they pay you. They put on a blue shirt and they not pay you. Happen all the time. I just show right? Who not tired of that? Not tired. So, you know, that's the way they handle the affairs of the country. Right? Where is equal justice? Where? Where is equal justice in this country? I would like someone to, text in and say, where is equal justice? Who gets equal justice in this country? Who? Right? That's a question, Right? Oh, we see who the rule of law apply to. Right? That they get to something, Right? We see who the rule of law applies to. You see them big man there, some are elected, some non-elected. You see the power they got. The power. Like for instance, this man Courtney, he hasn't been elected. Nobody vote for that man except Resenio. Nobody. When I say vote for Agawa, high position Agawa, big stick. For between our back. But none of vote for that man. There you go, right? So, does the law apply to these people? Because we see the action. You do what they do. Then you see what happened to People's sons and daughters have been murdered in this country. Murdered! And they go to the extent to justify how your son and daughter get murdered. Justify it. And then sadly, if you don't go a good attorney and can't have something to sell like a land or a house or a vehicle or whatever to get a good attorney, we don't know what happened to we don't know. So sad. That are the kind of authoritarian state that we are in. That are the kind of police state that we are in. And who dare tell them that, Mr. Man, you did do the wrong thing, Oh, how dare you to tell them that? No, you shouldn't even open your mouth. Mr. Man, what happened to my case? Oh, no, your case dead and gone, so get out of my office. Right? Well, sir, so and we got some evidence, and we got, no, don't bring that here. That done. Policeman don't go back to work long time, and either the culprit don't left the country or whatever little settlement going on between them. But you, the victim, happens every day in this country. But now you have money now and get a good attorney now, they're afraid for you. Oh yes, they even send people for quiet you. Hold your man, same amount of money. How much you want? No, go to the media. No, bring this thing up no more. No, right? Not come back with this thing. Hold ya, make this thing dead. Right? They do that all the time. They knock down and kill on a loved one. They send one henchman there with only $3,000-4,000. Right? And that's all your loved ones worth, A former minister did that. Belize rural. Knock down the lady and kill her. Send a henchman and I think it was $4,000. That's all that person had worth. Right? So sad. And He's running around this country like nothing happened. In fact, if you go back and ask you for vote for her, and still vote for her. But anyway, you see the bastardization of our constitution, where past and present government trying to trample over our constitution, try to tear it up and flush it by not even adhering to the constitution of the land, the law of the land, and then come with their own law. The law, they tell them, you need to have equal representation, or near as equal. That's what the law, they tell them to do, past and present. In 2012, the attorney come because it wasn't his party, Mr. Edmund Marshallek. It was the UDP in power. He had a press conference say, yes, man, redistricting due from before 2012, and yes, and easy for do, and you don't know why, then they drag their foot, right? And it should be done, and it should be done before the next election. That was in 2012, right? That landed man. And redistricting and nothing rocket science, man. He said, man, you have software, man, and you have this and you have that, and it could done in a couple months, right? Wow. That's what that man said. Then you have Mr. Eamon Court, that's a big man, you carry a big stick. 2019, 2020, he said, yes, man, after they went to court and all that, and he says, oh, yes, yes, redistricting is needed. In 2012, he said, right after the 2020 election, right after that, they will do redistricting because it's necessary. 2020, that same very man. Now, 2025, he's fighting again, not to do it. Fighting tooth and nail, not to do redistricting, right? And fighting with the taxpayers' dollars, right? Not to do redistricting. Who does that? Prime Minister went publicly and said, that group, they fight him, so he have to bring the big guns, so the big guns go fight we for not fight him, right? For do redistricting, right? You decide who we the fight. We have outside entities, and I call on outside entities, and I call on the Belizean public. Put in your claim in the courts, right? He boldly called general election already on March 12th. That should not stop you, because it will be, in my humble opinion, it will be another illegal election, right? So don't be afraid. All the other entities out there who want to put a claim in, put it in properly so that the judge could hear it, right? And at the end of the day, if you're not satisfied with his ruling, there are other avenues, right? So I say this to say that what's going on in our country, we got a bunch of politicians who have no respect for the rule of law, and yet you have other people, encouraging them, standing side by side with them for doing illegal activities, and you have people there supporting that, right? Who does that? What kind of a bunch of people do something like that, right? See what they want to do with our constitution, right? So, my people, the country is in election mode. Whether or not, after the election, that whatever ruling, right, with me, I always says that it's going to be an illegal election, right? So, But even though, right, a clear message should be sent to them that people are tired for of their actions. Tired, enough is enough, right? And the Belizean justice movement will be right there to be the change, the only change for this country. That's going to be that group of people that will be putting up their name. Otherwise, from that, it will be the same old. Which one of them is better? Which one? Which one of them have your best interests at heart? Which one? Right? At least I know. I live them. I live both the ruling and the, how both of them, rule this country. I lived it, right? And I'm living it because I see it every day. But personally, I'm tired of that. So, and I urge more Belizeans to be vocal, call a spade, put your claim in, and show the world and show the system that what these people are doing is not right. And as for me, I put my trust in the court because they are the keeper of our constitution. They are the ones that, you know, protects our constitution, and they rule on law, right? On the law, right? This is what the law says. So I put my trust in them. And, I will say no more on that issue, because of whatever, I won't say whatever, because of several reasons that I cannot speak more on that issue. But I'll pass it over to my colleague, Mr. Leonard Brackett, because he has a lot to say,
Well,
based on what's going on in the country as we speak. Right. Go ahead, Leonard.
thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Uh, I just want to point out to the public that why you're saying that you cannot speak to certain issues that you would like to speak to is because of the fact that you are one of the primary um, movers and proponent in the case that is before the judge for judicial review. And as a result, you can't find yourself speaking to those matters in detail to the public so as not to have your case being thrown for contempt of court. Because while we believe here on this show and in other circles that the government is acting as a rogue cabal of scofflaws, not wanting to follow the prescriptions of the Constitution, we also know that it, it is a constitutional matter that we're pursuing, and we don't want the matter to be thrown out of court for technical or technicality, because we believe that constitutionally, they, the government, should be made to be answerable to the Constitution and to stop, derogate, or violate the Constitution. And if the judges were to be pursuing this matter to preserve the Constitution as the supreme law of the land, to which all judges are beholden, then we believe that the government doesn't have a foot to stand on, other than its machinations and its hard and pulling and bullyragging the process and using the power of the purse from our treasury to bamboozle the people and to play a game while they continue to violate the Constitution. And no judge should rule to allow that to happen. That is, that the government should be allowed to continue its bastardization of the Constitution, because that is why we have the court and judges for. And any judge that rules in any such dastardly way as to say, get out of my face, I don't want to see you anymore, the government is exculpated and allowed to continue violating the Constitution, that judge ought to be put on the market square and flogged, because he then or she then would not be comporting with the requirements of the supreme law of the land. Uh, so that goes for the explanation as to why is it that we cannot pursue too much elaborate comment, Mr. Um, Chairman, as as regards to your notice just now to the general public, the listeners at home and abroad who are currently listening and will listen to our program in the future. I hope that helps as a little bit of clarity. I'll go on to read the Constitution of Belize, Section 84, subsection 1, and it reads as follows. The Governor General may, at any time, prorogue or dissolve the National Assembly. Full stop. I hope people get that clear in their head as to the powers of the Governor General, who is not a figurehead, but actually the person who holds the authority vested in him or her, in this case a her, by the head of state, to act on behalf of the head of state and in the interest of the state, to see to it that the laws of the state, especially as regards to electioneering matters, which comes under the purview of the Governor General, as well as many other issues, but specifically as we are attempting to address tonight, the issue of electioneering. It is required of the Governor General as part of her responsibility vested in her to exercise due care and caution as regards to not allow any violation of the Constitution without her following her own rules and regulations vested in her to look after the interests of Belize and Belizeans and the Constitution of Belize. Let me read subsection 2. Subject to the provisions of subsection 3, which is below, of this section, the National Assembly, unless sooner dissolved, shall continue for 5 years from the date of its first sittings of the House of Representatives, after any dissolution, and shall then stand dissolved. In other words, there's a time limit for the period during which a group of the members from the House of Representatives, when first elected until when they need to demit their office. And that period is 5 years. Now, it also says that the Governor General can dissolve the House even before that 5 years. He or she can dissolve the House just about any time. And further on, we're going to see some of the conditions under which the Governor General may dissolve the House, as in the case where the Prime Minister went and asked for a writ for dissolution of the House. The Governor General should have been in a position to be able to tell the Prime Minister there are litigation matters going on right now in regards to the Prime Minister's promise from before he got elected the last time in 2020, when he was electioneering trying to get elected. He committed to do the redivisioning and the reapportionment to clear up the malapportionment of voters per constituency as required under Section 90. I don't know if anybody appraised the Governor General of that fact. I know the Attorney General is supposed to tell the Governor General what the constitutional and legal facts are, because the Governor General, as far as I understand, depends on the Attorney General to not hoodwink the Governor General. But in this case, the Attorney General is more inclined to work on behalf of the Prime Minister and Cabinet, to which he's a member of Cabinet as well. And he don't mind, as far as I could see, going to the Governor General if the Prime Minister is asking the Governor General to give him a writ to dissolve the House, for then the Attorney General to weigh in on behalf of the Prime Minister's request to say, yes, it is legal and it is right and appropriate for the Governor General to then exercise her powers vested in her to afford or facilitate the Prime Minister's objective. But if the Governor General had a legal staff of her own, an independent, constitutional staff to give her constitutional advice outside of the Prime Minister's control or prerogative, then that advice, more likely than not, would have been the Governor General should not assent to the Prime Minister's request because there are high matters of state before the courts that needs to be resolved before November. And until those matters get resolved, the time should run unto November for a period of 5 years to make a full term, as I had just read earlier in section, what is it? Was it section 2 that I read that part? That for a matter of fact, the Prime Minister had enough time left between now and the end of his term to accomplish the objective. We show in our last program on Monday and in our previous program on Friday where we produced a copy of a software that could facilitate the government getting that redivisioning and reapportionment correctly done in 3 hours. And if double the time, they can get it done in 6 hours, less than 1 day's working time. So if the Governor General was being adequately advised on these constitutional matters, then the Governor General, within her power, should exercise that power because it is her responsibility as per the Constitution to inquire into any and everything that has to do in regards to the governance of Belize, and especially when it becomes a matter of crisis where the Constitution is willfully being violated with impunity. I do not see otherwise than how I explained what I said just now for the Governor General to have entertained and grant the Prime Minister that request. Because for all intents and purposes, what that does then is give the Prime Minister an opportunity to continue violating the Constitution and to have an illegal election and to basically, for all intents and purposes, do the same thing that was done during the last election. When the people went to the court and asked the court and the temporary Supreme Court Chief Justice, Ms. Arana, then said she could not grant them their relief that they were seeking because the election date had already been called. So they went on and had that illegal election, and now they're trying to have another one, saying that from then till now they could not have done this matter that could be done in 3 hours because they don't have the will or the good faith and interest of the Belizean people at heart. Rather, they have their own personal interest. That is that they won the last election with a mandate, super majority, a big number, and they presume that they can go ahead and bastardize our constitution again, run another illegal election, and end up winning the other election. Even if they lose a few seats, they will still continue for another 5 years to be the government. It's all a racket that you're running. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll just read one other little piece of this thing, and I'll cease my ranting or clarification. So, I'll just go all the way down to the end of this particular section and read a little part that I wanted to read, which is subsection 6. And it says, during the period between dissolution of the National Assembly and the appointment of a new prime minister after a general election, the government of Belize, the current government, shall continue to be administered by the prime minister, the current prime minister, and the ministers and other ministers of state of the government. And that's the end of section 85. But there's also, that was section 6, and there's also section 3 all the way through 5 that I didn't read. I would hope to get an opportunity to read a little bit more of that in the context of what we are discussing. I yield back, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
thank you, Leonard. And
You're welcome, sir. Thank you, too.
my people, this is what's going on publicly in our country, right? We see their display, we see their action, and I want to ask, uh, I mean, who fights? Who fights? It's like fighting your kids that you have an obligation to let them have the best school and eat and drink and have access to medical attention and what have you, right? But it reminds me like something like that. These are the very same PUP and UDP who fights you, right? The very same people that they swore an oath to serve and protect. These are the very same people that fights you. Who does that? Fights the one that says, like right now, Mr. Presenio and your PUP minions, it's time to do redistricting, because the people need equal representation, right? How long more, it will happen to go on the way it go on, it go on. The people in dormant, they okay with it because when go and shoot down while he's sunning down their throat, and they forget about it for the next 5 years. And when that time next 5 years come, you go and shoot one next something down. So they forget the whole cause. So that's how we get away, right? And it's
Bunch
all
of
about
rascals.
it's all about um you know like don't want to give up power, right? It's all about power control. And uno know darn well that uno do these things illegally, right? Uno they do these things illegally, right? Because the country does not, the country does not have equal representation. I will just call two or three of them, and there are many more. Mesopotamia, time immemorial, 2,000 people. Um, Said Musa, ex prime minister, his area. Henry Charles, the two Musas, right? They're in Belize City. They got each one. They have the division, or they are a powerful man in this country. Under 3,000 people, right? Then you have others that have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,000 people. And it's just simple. I think any infant would have said, well, Mr. Man, that's not equal, Or if they can't talk, then I write it down for you. Equal, it can't equal. So how is it? Who does that, man? They fight. They fight the people where they tell you to do the right thing. And not only that, they try to bastardize the constitution where they tell you that this is the way you need to do. This is the way you should do. Not may or maybe or no, this is what you should do. Equal or near as equal. But no, we bad because we did tell you that, man, please do with this, you king, and please, make we have equal representation in this country. So through this medium, I call on the OAS, the Belizean abroad, all the other entities around the world especially those who come to countries to oversee free and fair election. Free and fair election. Please write to this PUP administration. You could do your research and write to them and tell them you will not come to oversee no election until you do the right thing by the people and for the people. Then hold an election and we will come and oversee free and fair election. Because as it is right now, it is because we have done our researches and we have see and this and I could even send one copy to the man if you know still don't know it, the Belizean ex prime minister because he's no longer prime minister. Send it to him, man. Uno send it said this is what you call equal representation, man. You know equal and point out to her show where you know equal and that's all we the ask for. What is so hard and what hurts me is that he's fighting with the highest, best attorneys in this country, and one of them is been paid by the taxpayers already, paid by me and you, right? And these guys are not cheap. Who does that? Those are the people that are fighting the people that is taking the man to court and say, well, man, do the right thing. And he himself has said that in 2020. Man,
Mr. Chairman.
redistricting is necessary and we will do it. 2020.
Uh,
And go back to 2012, one of his other best friend attorney, Mr. Marshall, like a PUP attorney, they tell the UDP then at then that time, you know, redistricting is needed and easy for do. Stop drag on the foot, right? And there is softwares and easy as one, two, three that come from that man mouth. Huh?
Mr.
Have
Chairman.
some decency and tell your friend, Mr. Brisenio, your PUP friend, man, please do this thing, man. Right? Because stop the drag your foot. Just like what you said back in 2012, man. Have a heart, you're a Belizean, right? Come on. You don't want to see good in your country. You don't
I
want
see
to
Greg
see
in
the
the
right
background, Mr.
thing
Chairman.
be done in your country. And on that note, I want to welcome our next senior panelist, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Welcome, my brother. You want to say something, Leonard?
Uh,
Let
sure, I just want
Gregory.
to, yeah, just let Gregory identify himself correctly, and then I could maybe go back and uh, I needed was to read something about what you and I was commenting, but I need
Okay,
Gregory to let
okay.
the
I go to
Constitution
Greg, and
say
then
for
from
itself.
there you could
Yes,
have
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
floor. Go
Yes, sir.
ahead,
I will.
Greg. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good night,
It's
Greg.
always a pleasure sitting virtually with you guys, you good gentlemen,
The pleasure is
at
mine too, sir.
Belizean Affairs. I thank you, the people, for tuning in to this, our 255th episode. With that said, I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Leonard. You want to go ahead
Yes,
and
Mr. Chairman.
do that quickly and
Thank you very
yeah.
much, sir. Thank you too, Greg. And I just want I just now I read a part of the Constitution, Section 85(1). I read 2 and 3, and then I skipped over 4, 5, and I went to 6, and I read subsection 6, and I said to you, the people listening to the program, that I would hope to have an opportunity to come back and read some of the other parts in between. Why? Because they're all very important. But I just wanted to tie up a
Go ahead,
loose end.
Leonard. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to tie up a loose end that's hanging out there in the general public in terms of awareness, and that's why I skipped and went to that part. I'll go back to reading out uh, section 85 of the Belize Constitution. 85, 85, 84. Let me double check that again. As 84, section 84 of the Belize Constitution, subsection 4, and it reads as follows: In the exercise of his or her power to dissolve the National Assembly, the Governor General shall in accordance with the above, uh, with the advice of the Prime Minister, providing that paragraph A reads as follows: if the Prime Minister advises a dissolution and the Governor General, acting in his or her own deliberate judgment. Remember what I mentioned earlier in my first comment when I said that if the Governor General had an independent constitutional officer in her office to give her adequate legal and constitutional advice, that she would be able to exercise exactly what this power that I'm reading about here is. I said it in my own words earlier, but now I'm reading it out of the Constitution so people can get the understanding that I just wasn't creating something out of the top of my head or out of my back pocket or my fabs. So, just like I said, if the Prime Minister had gone to the Governor General as he did and requested of the Governor General the privilege to be assented to a dissolution of the House, then the Governor General, in this case a woman, being Miss Salam, should have been able to have the opportunity to tell the Prime Minister in her own deliberate judgment and consideration that the government of Belize can be carried on without a dissolution, and that the dissolution would not be in the interest of Belize, as we all currently know and are, as, as for this particular program tonight and on other occasions, and other individuals are advocating that it is not in the interest of the people of Belize to have an early election, as the Prime Minister is attempting to do, when he has many more months before his term is finally come to a conclusion. He's trying to bastardize the Constitution by rushing this particular agenda forward with impunity and skipping over his constitutional obligations. But I read, provided that paragraph A, if the Prime Minister advises a dissolution and the Governor General, acting in his or her own deliberate judgment, considers that the government of Belize can be carried on without a dissolution as requested by the Prime Minister, and that the dissolution would not be in the interest of Belize, then he may, acting in his own deliberate judgment, refuse to dissolve the National Assembly as per the request of the Prime Minister. In other words, the Prime Minister could have been rebuffed if the Governor General knew her obligations, her rights, her powers, and was willing to abide by the constitutional prescripts or mandates, as well as her power as Governor General representing the head of state, because the Prime Minister is subordinate to her. And if she, of course, I'll explain a critical part here too. When I brought up earlier about the Attorney General, the way they have it set up right now is that they don't provide the Governor General the funds to be able to have independent judicial officer or constitutional officer in her own office. What they do is they have her depend on the Attorney General for legal advice. How the hell the Attorney General, who works at the behest and in the interest of Cabinet and the Prime Minister, will be the same advisor to the head of state in this case, and to have the head of state assent to a bastardization of the Constitution ongoing, and to grant this man the
Thank you.
opportunity to go ahead. But in fact, the Constitution here, I just read it, says that the Governor General, in her own, acting in her own deliberate judgment after having enough knowledge and understanding about the issues and realizing that this matter is live in the court would allow the Prime Minister, by giving him assent, to go ahead and truncate the court process so that we don't have any judicial review of his um, um, scofflaw behavior.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll come back and read a little more if I get an
Yes,
opportunity,
thank
sir,
you,
because
Leonard. Let's have
cl-
Greg to weigh in on the
clarity is
on the
very important.
conversation, no? Yes. Yes. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good night, Greg.
I want to start by saying the whole scenario about the redistricting and the Belize Constitution, the way the past and present government has continuously bastardized it, is nothing new to me. I have stated on many nights on this platform that we are living in a designer system designed to keep the low class people in poverty. And we're seeing it today. There's no change. As far as the redistricting goes, it really would not make a difference. People might ask why I'm saying this, but believe me,
Is there a little
I'm
background
saying
there on a lower, a little bit volume something, or a little background noise there?
I'm saying this to say that
I don't know.
we as Belizeans are becoming minority in Belize with people that the government past and present is bringing in. And with the past amnesty, I believe we as Belizean are outnumbered 2-1. And that is why some ministers can point blank and say, if you vote or don't vote, it don't even matter because they will win regardless. But I want to say this. The truth of the matter is, I believe that the government wants to get rid of the Constitution because it is in their way. Section 3 through 19 of the Belize Constitution is the fundamental rights of the people that is protected by Section 20, where you can seek judicial review. And Section 2 of Section 1 prevents the government from making any laws that is inconsistent with the Constitution. Now, I also want to say this. If I was going after the government for redistricting, I would have used a different method to go after them that I believe would have had a highly impact when it comes to the outcome. You might ask why I'm saying this, but again, it has to do with one's fundamental right in section 3 through 19. It is protected by the Referendum Act.
Mm-hmm.
And the Referendum Act stipulates, and I will read what it says. The Referendum Act says, the Referendum Act introduced a requirement that a referendum be held on, inter alia, any amendments to Chapter 2 of the Constitution which derogates from the fundamental rights and freedom guaranteed therein. So with that said, This is why I'm saying I would have gone after the government using the Referendum Act because they are derogating from the fundamental rights of the people, as is said in Section 2. And that right is equal protection that is guaranteed
under the law,
under the law.
Section 6.
So, as I said, I will oppose that because all that was needed to do is get the amount of signatures and it would have put a stop. There would have been no other way of going when that was presented to the government. And we are learning
Uh, we're
this.
not
You're
hearing you,
breaking
Leonard.
up there, Greg. You're breaking up there, Greg.
Uh,
The present government is afraid of referendums.
mhm.
I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
uh,
Thank you,
one thing,
Greg. You want to say something, Leonard? Go ahead.
yes, sir, a constitutional comment. In addition to Section 6, Section 6, Section 2 that you quoted earlier, Greg, I also would like to throw in there Section 17 under no discrimination clause. That is that people are being discriminated against by having one person, as in the case of Mr. Musa or Mr. Well, not Mr. Musa, Mr. Osha in Fort George, having 2,000 or less people in his division compared to other divisions that have 10,000 plus in their division. That's a discrimination under the color of law. And he, Mr. Osha, is the same person that's holding this stuff up because it is in his committee that this matter is being laid to rest, was laid to rest, and was allowed to die a natural death. Well, I wouldn't call it a natural death because it may not have been a natural death. It was a forced assassination, okay, that was committed. So for all intents and purposes, these people are committing crimes under the color of law, and those are grievous crimes being committed against the highest authority of the land and against the well-being and constitutional rights of the people. So I would have thrown in there as well Section 17 of the Constitution for good measure. And can I read the other little piece, I think, or are you about to do your own comment, Mr. Chairman? Because you
I
haven't weighed in yet.
no
I could just go.
how much more you want to read? Yeah, let me.
Um, uh,
If you could,
I read paragraph A and B. I wanted to read paragraph
how
C.
much more paragraph you want to
That's
read?
that's the last
One
paragraph.
more?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. The last one then. Go ahead, because this
Okay.
time is of an essence too.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Where we are. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. And paragraph C of section 34, subsection 4 reads as follows. If the office of the Prime Minister is vacant and the Governor General acting in his, or in this case, Mr. Lam being a her, in her own deliberate judgment, considers that there is no prospects of him as the Prime Minister in this case being able to, within a reasonable time, to make I'm sorry, that wrong attribution. Let me reread. I was attributing a comment in regards to the Prime Minister when in fact it is the Governor General. I'm still the Constitution is still referring in this. Let me reread it, please, for clarity and correction. I stand corrected. Subsection C reads as follows. If the office of the Prime Minister is vacant and the Governor General acting in his or her, in this case Mr. Lam, acting in her own deliberate judgment, considers that there is no proper no prospect of him being able within a reasonable time to make an appointment to the office of the Prime Minister, then the Governor General shall dissolve the National Assembly.
Thank you.
And it is also
Thank,
the purview of the Governor General to decide who be
thank
the Prime Minister, because he can also sack the Prime Minister at will.
for clarity. Thank you, Leonard. You know, I have always says Greg and Leonard that all this power that we have talked about this and we've been talking for over a year now, right, since they appointed her. But anyway, um, one would say, right, with all the power vested that she has the power in her hand, because it's just a she, right? She'll do the right thing. And as for me, the word figurehead is
She's,
not so
Mr.
nice to
Chairman,
say.
Mr. Chairman, she's mandated to do the right thing. Nobody have to ask her.
One would say,
She's
Leonard,
mandated.
all that, yes, God, Greg, and all that, guys, that yes, this is Governor General is mandated. But it's so sad to say in Belize, some of us know how these people sit in these seats, right?
Hmm.
Some of us know, right? So, do you think that I would want to shut up my boss? Or do I have the power in my hands? And not too many people do that. If I had that power, I would, in like less than seconds, right, strike him down, right? Or him or anyone else. That's the difference of people, right? So, we all know, guys, that, you know, you pat my back and I will pat your back, and then it's at the end of the day, she get hefty salary, hefty bonuses, and hefty everything, and they, so do you think that she want to tell Johnny Briseño that, hey man, see the law here, that and see the power I have here, and this is what I will do? No, Johnny Briseño tell her, this is what I want you to do. Past and present, they do the same thing, guys. I don't know if anyone has any other, on that, but that's how I see that. Greg, go
Mr.
ahead on
Chair,
that.
I have sit here nights after nights on this platform, and I have said to people at home and abroad, our country is being run by executive powers. There is no separation of powers, and we are finding it in the courtroom where you should go for judicial review, up to even in the head of state, who is supposed to act in favor of the crown. It's not that they don't know these things, but I want to come back to something I have said on many a platform. I have said that past and present government is failing at external policies, internal policies, and domestic policies. And I have said the goal of the present government is to achieve the agenda of the late Right Honorable Judge Cable Price, to turn Belize into a republic. We are seeing we're heading that way. And I have also said that the Constitution is in their way because they are tired of losing lawsuits. I don't know how much people can recall that I said that, but whenever I say something, I always want to back up what I'm saying, because here in Belizean affairs, we show and tell. The issue that the Constitution have against the government is the capacity that it is building on to the debt that the country have with all these cases that are pending and cases that they are losing. But I will take the people back to something that was said by one of these same ministers that if the redistricting happens, he would be one of the ones them that would be removed. Let's hear the video.
There are so many settlements out there that are not even included in the national debt picture. These judgments against us and that were settled or claims made against the government of Belize, those aren't even included in the total debt picture. What is included are the known debt, not these judgments. But I can't say for sure how many cases were pending when we assumed office in November. I think the Attorney General will be in a better position to answer that. I know that there are a lot of different matters in terms of the ministry where I am. We have the case brought to trigger the redistricting exercise. It's something that we're working with right now. There's also a case with the Public Sector Workers Trust. It's something that we're also looking at. We're working through those cases. So I can speak on those two because I know about those two, but I'm sure there in the Ministry of Health there might be some medical negligence lawsuits that were pending. I'm not sure. The AG would be in a better position.
So pretty much you're saying we're in a far worse situation because a lot of those pending claims are not even on paper.
Yes. When it comes to the debt to GDP, that only refers or reflects the known debt, not the judgments. Because remember, those judgments are not a set amount. It increases with interest and different things. When you add in those known judgments and settlements and different things, you're approaching 150% debt to GDP ratio. But remember,
There you go, gentlemen and people at home and abroad. Like I said, the government is losing lawsuits. And that is why they must rewrite the Constitution. The fundamental right of people is Section 3 through 19. And that strictly says whenever you feel like your civil rights is being violated, you have Section 20 for judicial review. And Section 1, 2 prevents them from making any law that can stop judicial review, like the Barrow regime did. And this is why now they are steadfast at using Section 69.9 that they know is null and void.
Unconstitutional. Greg, can I
You
add
want
something?
Go ahead,
you want
sir.
to say something?
Mr.
You want to
Chairman?
say something,
Yes,
Leonard? Go
yes,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Not only are they bastardizing the Constitution, but they're bringing in judges on contracts who these judges don't want their contracts to be stillbirthed or terminated preemptively or not be renewed. And as a result, these judges, as we have seen in 3 cases consecutively now, are ruling in favor of the government, even contrary to constitutional prescripts and the laws of the land and the supreme law to which they, the judges, should be beholden. It seems to me that there's some interest there that far exceeds that of their professional career, which is to render justice according to the law. Now, I'm taking the liberty of making that stipulation because that's my observation. And I'm entitled to being able to voice that,
Mr. Brackett,
regardless of whether I'm right or wrong. The bottom line is that that is how it appears to me, and that's my perspective. Go ahead, Greg.
Mr.
Thank you, Leonard. Go ahead, Greg.
Mr. Brackett, you are not wrong. Here in Belizean affairs, we show and tell. I will tell you why you are not wrong. Let's look at the compulsory takeover. A ruling was passed against Mr. Feinstein, right?
Bastardized rule.
Here what will happen? He is appealing. But by the time his appeal goes through,
It will be so.
they will
Everything
already
has been
take it over. So all he can end up with
some
is the
extra money.
payment.
Yeah.
And who is paying for it? The Belizean tax dollars. So you are not wrong. And here we go again. Listen to it.
Sir, should
You're
the public take an
totally
adverse view of the fact that you are here today, but in fact, the Attorney General for the government is represented by two very expensive senior counsels and another attorney as well, most likely? How should the public interpret that?
No, okay. So it's a valid concern, a valid observation. We have a cadre of excellent, brilliant Crown Counsel, but as occurs with this matter, you're faced with a very urgent matter, a matter which requires an attorney with certain special skill and expertise. And regrettably, unfortunately, that's the nature of the affairs, and so you have to engage such attorneys.
But are public funds being judiciously spent in defense of an indefensible position that you're not going to vote with a completely malapportioned voters list?
I would not say as you have characterized it, and as you generally do, Jules, you articulate with such spellbounded effect. One might be persuaded, yes, to seduce to accept it, but no, I don't necessarily agree with you. And as I indicated earlier, we don't want to prejudge whatever determination that has to be made by the court. But certainly, I rarely concede that is a valid concern. But as I indicated, it is something in the normal course of things that government has to do.
government
The
has
government does not have to violate the Constitution and
that is correct.
force private citizens to sue the government to try and get them to do the right thing. That is not correct. That gentleman is lying out of years, out of years,
Mr. Brackett,
all over
this
everybody
brings
to
me
lies
back
on him. Just like
this brings me
tours.
back to what they
Cancel
did.
tours.
It brings me back to what they did to Dr. Marvin Manzanero.
Exactly.
They went to the assembly and took away the man job. Then here we have
And give it to one of
Attorney
the
General.
Take it away
If he
from us.
can't do the job, why are you paying him with taxpayers' dollar? He said it
Exactly.
with his own mouth.
And the
He needs a
consuls
special
then, and all
attorney.
the other rest of batteries of lawyers then when they have. We
So,
don't matter, like what Courtney said. We don't matter. Especially the black people in the country. They
isn't
will
that
do what they want.
communism?
No care where we have to say, or whether we agree or disagree, or whether the whole country disagree. They have the powers of governance in their hands, and to hell with the rest of the country. That's the kind of behavior that they are carrying on with. They all need to be locked up, like I said, charged for sedition in the first place, where they're trying to have the Governor General sign craziness on their behalf to get rid of the head of state, or the Deputy Governor General sign on behalf of the Governor General to get rid of the Governor General and her boss, and the Governor General has nothing to say about that. Those are seditious conducts, and they all need to be locked up and put in the.
As, as
Let me
I
leave it at
stated
that. Let me leave it at
before,
that.
Mr. Chairman, as I stated before, I would have gone after the present government using the referendum act because he's saying by his word, we are not going after them, they are coming after us. But I want to
But
say
he's lying.
this.
Everybody knows he's lying.
I want to say this right. The present government must understand if I employ you to do a job and after your employment time is expiring, you cannot tell me you want to stay on. It is up to we the people to re-elect you to continue the job. But the present government is acting as though they are so much in power
They're sovereign above
that
even
they
people.
are telling us, the people, what they would do. And that is what is happening.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Leonard,
one
you
last
have
statement.
2 minutes, my brother.
Yes, sir. Okay.
2 minutes.
So,
For your closing, though, too, right?
yes,
So,
sir. I would like to recommend to the Belizean voters, the plebiscite of the country, to not be cavalier with the importance of their general election vote. Yes, they might like certain people that they're voting for in their constituency, but those same people that they vote for, after they finish vote for them and they get assented the powers, they go into the circle with their other colleagues and they suborn that power that you entrusted to them to the decision making of the leader. So then your powers and the likeness that you have about with these people or the confidence that you have in these people is suborned. And we have seen that over and over and over. And Belizeans have to get about doing what's right for Belize, not for the politicians who don't care about Belize and only keep fattening up themselves and their cronies and family members and friends. Vote them butt out of the office and try with somebody else new. You have to move on into the future. You can't stay with the stagnated evildoers them and expect that you want to get blessings fall out of sky on your head, because that's not about to happen. God give you one brains, He give you one limbs, He give you one ability to be able to recognize good and bad. And if we don't do what we need to do on our side of the leisure to make the good come about, then don't complain when the bad hit you. Are you back, Mr. Chairman? And thanks very much for the
Thank you,
opportunity,
Leonard.
sir.
Greg, I give you 4 minutes, Greg. Four
Mr.
minutes.
Chairman, my thing to the people at home and abroad is we need a coalition government. Vote blue, vote red, vote green, vote yellow. Give none of these past and present government another chance to run this country. Let's have a coalition government where when we go to people as the past bill, they have to depend on each other to do that. I believe this will be the only way this can move forward. In this way, no sole government will have power. With that said, I would like to go back to just a short video, Mr.
We're not going after them. We're just defending ourselves. We did not go after them. They're coming after us as a government, and we have to defend ourselves. This has been a
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to play that to remind the people at home and abroad when he said that, he is referring to the whole voting population because the Constitution represents the people of Belize, not some of the people, not the BJM, not the BPM, the whole electoral division. I go back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Thank you for that you know sober reminder there. Leonard, you want to? I'll give you 2 more minutes. You can
Thank you
have.
very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no,
Is it available?
you could have
Yeah,
three.
okay. Um, okay. My concern is that the deck is being stacked against the best interests of the Belizean people, and it appears that many of them are not even recognize that as a reality. As a matter of fact, they're so partitioned in their political perspectives, and they're so willing to forgive and forget and overlook treachery, even when it is at the highest level of our governance system, even when it's hurting them on a day-to-day basis. They're willing to go back and vote these people back in for another 5 years of the same kind of shenanigans and hardship. Well, of course, some of them probably can afford it because some of them are very wealthy individuals in both parties, by the way. So this commentary is about whether or not the Belizean people is going to come to a point where they recognize that change needs to happen. I can remember in the past where we used to have, let's say from 79, 79 we had a government that was elected, and in 84 that government was dispatched. Okay, that was under the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable George Price, when they lost their first general election in 84. By 89, the government got changed again. In other words, from one term to the next, there was a change of government. To the next term, there was a change of government. In 93, there was another change of government. In 97, there was another change of government. So, what I'm saying, there was a time when people used to take their vote a little more serious, and they used to look at these politicians and judge them according to their conduct, not according to what the politicians are giving them or can give them or promise them. But people seem to have lost that type of values, veracity, concern, patriotism. I don't know what else. There seems to be something lacking in the people today that people before used to observe. And people today spend their time mostly on Facebook, they chit chat, or they on TikTok, or on Pinterest, or on whichever other one. And then the following day they don't have no food to eat. Or then they go hustle their other family members for something to get along and get by. When some of that energy could be put into productive efforts, as well as demanding that the government, whoever, in other words, they should have been changing the government at every election, if need be, until we get the right people and will do the right thing on behalf of the country. Stop sit there and be grateful to these idiots for taking advantage of you, would be my clamor. And
Thank
only
you.
the people could save the people, especially as of right now, going forward. Because you
Thank
have
you.
the vote in your hand, and you can decide what you want to have happen to your future, your children's future, and your grandchildren's future.
Thank
Get
you.
serious
Thank
about
you,
it,
Leonard.
get on with the job. God bless Belize and
Thank you,
Belizeans of today, my
Leonard.
brother.
Thank you. Thank you for that sobering reminder. Greg, I'll give you 2 more minutes, Greg.
Thank you,
I know
Mr.
you want
Chairman.
to say something. Greg, Greg, I give you 2 more minutes.
I yield to you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
Oh,
all right.
okay, okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman,
Guys,
Mr.
yes,
Chairman, could you
yes.
close it out then with the with your effort in terms of what you're doing right now to try and make a difference? Could you look into that as a public
Thank you.
benefit? Take care, sir, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Gregory Brackett, it's always a pleasure. Leonard, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company. And in the interest of time,
Same here,
I'll
sir.
take this last 5 minutes. You guys give me a whopping 5 minutes. Thank you. Um, you know, uh, my people, you know, I hope that tonight's program, open your minds and open your eyes, open your ears a little bit.
And
And
your
like
heart
Leonard said,
and
only
your
you, the
conscience.
people, could save the people, right? And save the country. Because Leonard, I will just search quickly to talk about in the 70s and 60s and 70s. We are no more. All those people had passed and gone away, left this country for whatever reason that you said we change them every election, right? Remember? Joel would change them because who was the voting populace? Leonard and Greg? Who?
Concerned Belizeans.
We, right?
Concerned Belizeans.
You see,
Not
there you
opportunist,
go. You see the voting
patriotic people.
populace, guys. Leonard and Greg, you see the voting populace that we have now in this country. The little villages that's stacking up over and over, you see them popping up all over this country. Not with people like me and Greg and Leonard. No, those are people that influxing. Those are people that leave in their country for whatever reason. namely Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Salvador. See, I talk about the four main influx that we have voting populists now. They are the voting populists. And to every time a little amount come, they make a little village for them. So I just trying to show you, Leonard. You talk about what used to happen. And this is what the politicians strive on. They UDP and PUP this part of the system. So they don't need me, they don't need you, they don't need Greg.
They tell us to we feel
Like
that
I told
we
you
are the
what they had
minority.
told me.
They tell us,
Right?
the Prime Minister tell us we are a minority and we don't need to be involved with nothing
Yes.
other than affairs of the country.
Real truth, real truth, real
Media.
truth. So my people, you see the government we have now, past, you see how they treat us. You see how they treat the teachers. You see how they treat the public servants. You see how they treat the doctors and nurses who are there to help you when you're sick, right? You see how they treat these institutions, right? They
Mr. Chairman, the unelected one tells us recently we don't matter.
more and
So
more on what you said and what we are saying. We don't matter. We don't matter. And they say publicly. So we see the state we are living in right now, like Greg said,
publicly
the
in the
state
Senate,
we are in.
in the Senate, he said it.
Listen to us. Listen to what Greg said, the state we are living in right now, and it's true. But he didn't mention the police state, right? That too, right? And we are living it. So my people, I beg you, right? You see how strong these people are on this displayed publicly. This, see, that's the thing that gets me. Publicly, they will tell you what they are going to do to you. Like mentioned the plebiscite, they don't want that anymore. You think they want any referendum? After they're not crazy, right? They will never have another referendum in this country, right? It will done though if you elect a new entity like the Belizean justice movement, because then the crap we not stand for. We stand for people, a nation. We will serve our people. We will bring back this country to the people because it's slipping away. That new identity, you forget that new identity. No, we want to keep our identity. But vote them in again, and you will see that new identity plays out. So, see how strong he's strong, and he call election, regardless of what's in the court and what's happening around him. No, he baba weave up, Papali come over here and he jump over here and he call for him, big man there. So this is what we will do, right? See what they do to it, right? They could care less. So, do you want to give this government or this two-party system any leverage again over you? What do you think will happen? We said it over and over here on this medium here. What do you think will happen to you and your children and your children's children and your grandchildren? You see the influx that they're having in their party? How much black man you see there? Huh?
Mr. Chairman, most of the black senior civil servants then are being weeded out of the civil service. That's part of my conclusion after that 3 months investigation that I did in the country between September last year and December. Most of the head of department and the front end people.
So you have, guys, and my people, you have a group of strong-minded, loyal Belizean who want to take back this country back to the people, right, and do the right thing. So please, election day, take the money because we don't have no money to give you. I couldn't use to. We don't have the 300, the 50, and the 100. We don't have that for give you. But what we have to give is prosperity and a decent living and better treatment
And
and
development of the
equip
country.
hospitals, and we will do right by our public servants, by our teachers. Every, we will make this country right because we could do it, right? Who are there before who give them that mandate? Who was Karim Musa? Who was Boots Martinez? Who was Jan Saliva? Who was, I could go on and go on, right? Who are there before no give them that mandate? Why are you afraid for man?
Who was the
Why you
current
got
prime?
for lose?
Who was the current prime minister? And for that matter of fact, who was the former prime minister?
Okay? So, what are you afraid for? Huh? We don't think you're afraid for that not get the $300. Because I tell you right here on this meeting, and get the $300 from we. That's not the only thing. Right? So, my people, please, only you, the voters, come March 12th, could make that difference. Right? No one else. You want the same all? Vote the People's United Party back in power. Then you will see.
Can I make one last statement
Uh,
before you go off? Can I make one last statement? I would like to ask the people of Belize, who are the voters, to please consider the value of your vote. Can you vote for $50 like you know always do, and survive off of $50 till the next $50 come next election 5 years down? Or can you, instead of selling a vote for $50, can you sell it for $100 and survive? Can you sell it for $500 and survive? Can you sell your vote for $1,000 and still have enough left over until the next general election? Belizeans, stop play crazy. Get serious about your future and the future of your generations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for yielding to
Thank
me.
you, and it's always a pleasure,
God bless.
guys, and thank you very much for sitting with us
You do.
here, Greg and Leonard. And to those, Leonard, who had tuned in to us, I want to wish them, the very best. May God bless them, and thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in and listening to what we got to say. We are nothing but truth, right? And we are about people. We are about people, living people, a
Mr. Chairman,
nation.
Mr. Chairman, our last show was off the stratosphere in terms of numbers and visits compared to
Thank you.
the previous numbers then.
But
So people are catching
but
on,
Leonard and
and we hope
Greg,
that they
we
get
bring
concrete
truth
enough
to the nation.
before the end of the month.
Yes, Leonard, I'm glad for that. We bring truth to the nation, and we're not afraid. We are not afraid to tell them what they are doing good, and we are not afraid to tell them what they are doing bad. No apologies, and we are not any party fanatics. We are
Mr.
not
We,
a
Mr.
fanatic.
Chairman,
we are
that
not
brings me
we are not afraid to walk them out of the church with the bull if you have to. So
that brings me again to say this, Mr. Chairman. This is the time when I feel that the democracy should live on. I believe the court should rule in the favor of the law of the land. This is one time I believe that. And I also believe the same High Court should not have meddled in the affairs of the UDP. Because when you as a judge would say you order mediation, you could have simply said, take it to a convention under your constitution.
we're living in a designer system,
Amen.
like you said, Greg.
Amen to that.
That was deliberate
Thank
and
you.
contemptuous.
With that said, I
Guys,
would like to say good night to the
take
people
it
at
away,
home
Greg.
and abroad. We thank you for tuning into this, our 255th episode of Belizean Affair. Have a great night. See you again on Friday.
Thank you.